All right, again, welcome pastors and ministry leaders to this week's Marry the Vision video email. I hope that over the last 4 or 5 weeks of these videos on unlocking a growth plan that works has really helped you. They have meant so much in my life. I have worked on them, practiced it for almost 30 years. And have shared, and I continue to do so, reminding myself of these very things. I pray that they have been helpful for you on your journey of growth, whether it's as a leader in the professional field, in a relationship, as a pastor, in a communication skill. I pray that they have been helpful for you. Today, what I want to focus on is I want to talk again about some practical suggestions that I'm offering you that will unlock growth in your life. Jesus wants you and I to grow. He wants us to grow in our knowledge of Him. The scripture says that. He wants us to grow in our character. He wants us to grow and sharpen our influence, our leadership skills. He wants that of us. He wants to see our marriage grow in love. He wants to see integrity as we lead. He wants to see these things. That's His desire. If it's our desire, His Word tells us that we have to have a plan for that success, because any enterprise is built and continues to grow, but it's built by wise planning. It becomes strong through common sense, and it profits wonderfully by keeping abreast of the facts. And that's some of the stuff we're going to talk about today as we talk about suggestions that unlock growth. So let me share some of these right now. Number one, I know I said it in the past, but I'm going to remind you of it because of the value of it. Surround yourself with resources that contribute to growth. Make sure you do that. Whatever area that you define that you want to grow, surround yourself with the resources to that. And we talked about that. Remember, the books, the audio, the video, the mentors. Surround yourself. Surround yourself with those that contribute, because as you do, you'll see yourself go. If you rated yourself at a 5, when I ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself in your leadership skills? Where would you rate yourself in your preaching skills? Where would you rate yourself in your EQ, in where your emotional intelligence? Where would you rate yourself? Whatever it may be that you feel you want to go. Where would you relate your scale on that scale? Where would you put yourself with your compassion? Because there's always room for growth. And then you surround yourself with the resources, the content, the books, the audio, the videos, the things that help contribute to that. Okay? Why do we do that? Because the information's the seed, right? And it's sown in the ground of our heart, in our heart and our mind. And then I engage with that seed. And then there's got to be that place where I create that controlled environment. I called it the greenhouse, right? The environment that's conducive to growth, because Jesus gave the 4 kinds of ground and only one produced the fruit, yet the seed was sown in all 4. All right, we got to be aware of that. That environment is critical to growing the fruit that we want. Number 2, schedule investment time. This is all about priorities. When I say investment time, interesting. I gave you back weeks ago how our U.S., they've released, in our labor, released a study and some statistics, actual facts, money, where they looked at over the last 3 years, 2.5 times the money has been spent on entertainment instead of on education and skill development. 2.5 times. Well, if they're spending it then on entertainment, it's got to take time. See, they schedule the time to do the binge watching. They schedule time where they may not even be aware of it. That they say, Ron, I don't have time to watch a 12-minute video or 20-minute video. But they'll have time to scroll for 30 minutes and just see all highlights. See, again, once you decide what the content is that it's going to be contributing, it's investing in the growth, now you've got to schedule time where it becomes a priority. So I'm talking about devotional time. Where in your devotional time, you're not just reading for the sake to say, well, I'm going to read through the Bible in a year. And that's great. I hope you do that. I'm talking about devotional time where you're depositing into yourself by intention the books that you're reading. Like, take time, read the Bible to read, but also read a chapter in a book that you know is feeding, or a half a chapter. Listen to an audio, download an Audible and listen to it. It may even mean to sit and watch a video that you got to actually go through and watch it, and make sure that you got your pad out and your writing utensil out, that you're not being distracted by other things or your attention being taken away. That's devotional time. You're scheduling an investment time because it's a priority. You see, you got to make it a priority. You got to read, you got to listen, you got to watch, because all of those educate and equip you. And if you want to grow, it's necessary to make that a priority. Even these, that's always my prayer. Lord, I pray people make it a priority that they actually watch it and or listen to it, even if it's in their car on their phone, they're listening to it. Because if they signed up for it and they feel like that it's going to help them in their ministry journey, they got to make investments, okay? So you want to make those deposits by your devotional time, okay? The second thing is you want to have also seasons of prayer. I'm talking about developing a prayer habit. I mean a prayer habit, a season of prayer that revolves around your growth in an area. I don't mean just making intercession for our nation, which you should do, making intercession for our leaders, making intercession for your family, praying for your church. You should. I'm talking about a season of prayer that specifically prays about the area that you are intentionally investing in yourself because you want to see growth in an area, where you're asking God for wisdom so that you can learn how to implement the things you're learning. Asking God, Lord, help me to hear your voice and receive instruction and gain a deeper understanding to know how to apply ... A season of prayer where you're thankful and saying, Lord, I want to thank you that you opened the door for this book, this audio, this video. Could be Mary the... Thank you, Lord, for opening up that door and help me to be able to extract truths that will assist me in my growth in, and again, in that area. All right? So when I'm saying season of prayer, you need to have it, but have it in relationship to the area that you want to grow. Okay? Because the Holy Spirit will speak to you in that place. Or while you're out, he will show you things where something may come and you see a book and you'll just have it buy that. Or a course. I've had that happen where I just happened to see it and I felt the Holy Spirit said to me, purchase that. That's good. Okay, and I did that and I was so grateful because even if it was only one nugget or two, it helped me enough in my leadership journey that I was able to take it and grow my leadership to impact a company, impact family, impact speaking, impact something in my life that I wanted to grow in. All right? The other thing when I'm talking about practical areas to grow is this. Be intentional in your fellowship and associations with others. Now, I'm not saying be exclusive, be a holier than thou. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be intentional about the people that you regularly fellowship with. Be intentional about the associations that you have. Now, when I say be intentional, here's what I mean. Make time for relationships that are going to sharpen you and grow you. You got to make the time. I realize as a pastor, I realize as a minister, you're investing in a lot of people. I get it. But if you invest and don't have time for others to invest in you, you're going to get depleted. I've talked to so many pastors that have said this to me. So if you're watching this, I'm not speaking, I'm speaking, we might have had a conversation, so I'm trying to give credence to the truth that we covered, but I'm not pointing out anybody. But I've heard from so many pastors that would say, oh, man, Ron, I'd love to spend time with you. I mean, we got to do this once a month, like have a call, have this, I really need to run this by you. They don't ever reach. And even if I were to reach and say, hey, just checking in, oh, man, I've just been busy. See, we make a lot of times excuses for the tyranny of the urgent instead of implementations for the value of what is necessary. In other words, people, hey, I got it, pastor, and we run to it. And therefore, when I do that, I don't have time to be able to spend with those reach-up relationships. You need to be intentional with the fellowship and associations that you have. Reach to your mentor. Doesn't have to be every day, maybe every couple of weeks. If it's somebody, and I'm just using me because I've had that, literally had that very discussion with pastors that have said, oh yeah, man, I want you to come either speak in the church leadership meeting. I want to be able to get with you, talk to you at least once a quarter. I want to run things by, and you never hear from them. And even if you reach out to them just because you're checking on, nothing. See, you've got to make sure you're intentional. It's got to be a priority because it's going to be helpful. Other than that, you'll get depleted and time will run. And all of a sudden, you'll be at that same spot that you were while others have moved on. And you'll be frustrated. Another thing about when I'm talking about some practical suggestions, here's what I'm saying. You need to take, and you will. Why those associations are so important is because you're going to take on the shape of the environment that you surround yourself with. If all you listen to are complaining and negative people, or people that are constantly needing help, and that's all you'll focus on. And you're going to start taking that on where you'll think, my ministry must be to these people that are, down and out, which I'm not. There is ministry to that. Don't hear that the wrong way. But you see, you got multiple things. You got in your two hands, you got to have one that reaches down to help others, but you got another one. You got to reach up and you got to let people help pull you up, help challenge you. Remember the verse I gave you last time? And I'll give it to you again. Proverbs 13, verse 20. He who walks with the wise grows wise. Isn't that interesting? He who walks or takes a journey with people that have wisdom, growth in an area, what happens? The one who walks and takes that journey, they grow wise. But a companion of fools suffers harm. In other words, who you surround yourself with will determine that environment will determine the level of your growth or how you grow. Also, Proverbs 27 verse 19 says this, a mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kinds of friends he chooses. So make sure, having fun, all that's cool, but make sure you have relationships in your life that are conducive to sharpen and strengthen you. And I have some of them. I've got some young men and women that are great pastors that look to me and I'm honored and they make time. I want to talk to you. I got to run this by you. They want me there every year to do things in the church with their leadership team and they're very intentional. And I have watched over years, every single year, and I'm not exaggerating, every single year I see them grow and I see their church grow. It's just interesting how that connection happens. Number 3, another practical suggestion is this. Develop the habit of investing. It's a discipline. And when I say habit, let me walk you through what I mean by this. Because you may say, well, you said be intentional. You do. You need to be intentional about your investing. But intentionality over time, when you do it, develops a habit. In other words, it's a practice. You practice investing so that it becomes so valuable. It's a priority, but really what it becomes when you practice investing, it's the process of it is the key. Just like Jesus said. The process is the key. If you do this process, if you got the right seed, putting it in the right ground, creating the right environment, if you got the process right, you will experience fruit because the seed is a predetermined harvest, which means what's the goal? So here is being process is the key. Let me unpack that for just a minute. What do I mean by that? I mean, first of all, set practical goals. I'm talking about realistic goals for growth. Set practical ones where you're identifying where you want to grow. Okay? I had one minister, I want to grow my communication skills. And I've been doing that with this minister for now over 2 years. I want to grow my communication skills. And so on my, this is what I'm going to be delivering in my Sunday sermon. Would you, days before that, could we jump on a call? I'll send you my notes. Can I preach that sermon to you like you said Brother Gass did for you? And I said, absolutely, I'd be honored. So I get it ahead of time. I look over it. Sometimes I don't have a whole lot to say, but that this is really good. And other times I'll make a highlight and say, how about this verse? What about this kind of an illustration? What if we move this or change that, just like Brother Bob did for me? See, set practical goals. Identify where you want to grow. And then what you want to do is, that's important because that's going to complement your mission and your desire for growth. You identify what it is, but remember, here's what's so important. Growth is not just one big step. It doesn't happen that way. See, Growth is a process. It comes over many steps. As a matter of fact, there's a scripture that says the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Steps being plural, not one step. So what you want to do is make sure you prioritize these in order of importance to you. In other words, you may have different areas that you want to grow in. You could have 2, 3, 4. But mark out goals, but then prioritize not just the goals, but the steps in their order of importance to move forward. Number 2, what else do you want to do? You want to discipline time and energy. This is what is called paying the price for growth. You want to discipline time and energy. Pay the price because it's going to require a price. What is it? Time and energy to grow. So you got steps, which I just said. The steps that you need to move forward. Okay, I'm not just talking about activity, I'm talking about the right activity. What steps do I need to move forward that will help me in my growth in my leadership skills? I'll tell you again, one of them that I think would be very valuable to you is go to marrythevision.com and look at the course I've put together, Leadership Essentials. Look at the course. It's going to be coming out soon. It's an 8-week course that will, the content, there's 3 chapters of each 8 weeks. That will 3 sessions. There's 8 chapters, 3 sessions within each chapter that'll come out. That will be videos that are 12, 20 minutes long. Plus, you'll have downloadable PDFs that will come with it and a weekly live video Zoom call with all the leaders who get the link, who sign up. If you sign up for the course, you'll get the link. And then what we do is we talk about that particular area, and it literally gives more personal time where we can help sharpen. I even ask them, send me questions. Within the course, you'll have an email where it'll be given to you where you can send me questions so that we can cover it on the call. See, that's a step in a direction to sharpen your understanding of what leadership essentials are and even sharpen skills in developing those essentials so that it raises the quality of your leadership. That'll help you move forward. It's a good step. What else do you do? Well, sacrifice. See, the price to be paid is going to require sacrifice. And what I mean is sacrifice is going to be required, which is where time and energy come in. What do you got to sacrifice? Well, you can't sit down and binge watch for 2.5 hours something and not give place to the book that you just purchased or the video course that you purchased. See, you got to sacrifice time to watch, to engage with that content. See, we all sacrifice for what is based, what we value in our value system. We sacrifice based on our value system. That's the truth. If you value entertainment above skill development, then you will want to sit down and just entertain yourself. Play video games, watch something that's brainless, entertain. You'll do that. Or you can invest in your own growth, which is going to require content, seed, right? Going to require the right frame of heart and mind, and then to create the right environment around you that will nurture that, which is going to require patience. I remember reading, I actually read it in a paper about a mother. They were on a boat, and she couldn't swim, didn't swim, but yet she had a young toddler and was on the boat, and she was not paying attention, and the toddler got too close, and the toddler was small enough that even though there were rails, the toddler fell off the boat into the water. And she heard the people scream, and she saw it, and just instinctively, she jumped overboard in order to save the infant. Now remember, she couldn't swim. It's amazing what can happen, right? She sacrificed her fear of swimming, her not wanting to ever swim, not going into the water to swim. She sacrificed all that the moment she saw that her infant was in the water overboard and jumped. Thank God for people that were there that helped her, helped the infant, right? But that's what happens. You're going to have to sacrifice. Number 3, what else? When we're talking about this, consistency in keeping the plan. Once you got a plan in place, you're regularly watching things, listening to things, reading things. It's part of your devotional time. You're making that investment. You're getting together, whether you're making a call once a month to a pastor, a mentor, meeting quarterly, whatever that may be, you got to stay consistent with the plan. Be faithful to the process, because that's what consistency is. It's faithful to the process for growth. There is a gap between mediocrity and excellence. And that gap is only bridged by consistency. The inconsistent will be mediocre. They will be below average, or even if it is average. I don't know that you want average. I think you want to be excellent in your pastoring skills. I think you want to be excellent in your communication skills. I think you want to be excellent in your leadership skills. I think you want to be excellent in the quality by which you love people. I think you want to be excellent in your vision. I think you want to be excellent in pleasing Jesus. I do. And that mediocrity to excellence is only bridged through consistency. It will require consistency. So, value your goals enough to discipline yourself to keep to the plan. A person with no plan is a person with no direction. Okay? Number 4, as we go, evaluate. You got to have an evaluation of your progress. This is integrity that measures your growth. You got to have it. See, as you're going through your plan, as you're working it, you're investing, you're protecting it, you got the seed, you're doing it all. You got to evaluate. You got to step back and evaluate. Take a test, take an inventory, okay? Because it requires this. It's integrity that measures your growth. In other words, where am I in relationship to this goal? It's a good question. Want to grow my marriage, want to grow date night with my wife, want to be able to spend. So where am I on a scale of 1 to 10? Where am I in relationship to my goal? If I said that, and on my scale, I said I was a 6 and I want to get to an 8, where am I now after doing this? See, you got to evaluate it, because what that's going to do is that's going to help you know how that scale, just like weight, like if let's say somebody wants to lose 20 pounds, right? Oh, how are you going to know if you don't get on a scale to weigh you? Like whatever you put in place, I'm not going to eat this, I'm going to eat this. I'm going to exercise this amount of time, then I'm going to raise that exercise time to this time. I'm going to do. See, in doing that, you still need the scale to be able to help you to know, where am I? You evaluate. Or even some of you may say, I use my dress size, pants size. Okay, cool. What the point is still well taken, right? You got to have something to evaluate it. So you ask yourself, what areas do I need improvement in? That's part of the evaluation too. All right, here's where I am. Is there anything else I need to be doing? Not what I want. Do I need to? Just like in the weight. You know, I cut back on the snacks, but do I need to now cut back on this or cut back on more? Because that's a need. If I want to reach this goal, I need to do this. What areas need improvement? And if you're not sure, here's what I encourage. Ask a mentor. If they know you really well and you've shared your goal with them, ask them. Because they're going to ask you questions and give you feedback based on their observation of how you answered. The other thing too is ask your spouse. I mean, my wife and I do that on a regular basis. Hey, this is something I want. What do you think? How am I doing? You know, or I just may mention it, or she may mention it because she wants me to ask over time so that there's accountability there. See, ask. If they genuinely love you and they genuinely support you, they're going to give you honest feedback, okay? Because honesty is needed on our part to keep moving forward to achieve our goal. That's why the evaluation part is important. Honesty is important. Remember Proverbs 24, verses 3 and 4? Verse 4 says this, by keeping abreast of the facts. Because any enterprise is built by wise planning, and it becomes strong through common sense. Just be common sense about it. And it profits wonderfully. Profits wonderfully how? By keeping abreast of the facts. Here's where I am, but yet here's where I want to go. There's a gap. The gap needs to be bridged with a consistency of something. Reading something, listening to something, talking to somebody, having mentoring opportunities, taking a course. How do I do this? All right? And last of all, keep a positive attitude toward growth. Because here's the reality. You're going to need a positive attitude when it comes to growth, because growth can happen slower than you want it. You may have some trips along the way, some mishaps along the way. It happens. You see, everybody goes through it. But don't lose your positive attitude or your positive perspective toward growth. Let the word of the Lord encourage you. Let what Jesus said encourage you about the law of progress in Matthew chapter 13, Mark 4, Luke 8. Let that happen. Go back over this. Here's what's interesting. No matter where you are at right now, if you desire to grow, here's the fact. It's always still a process. Progress doesn't happen without the progress, no matter where you are. Even if you're an 8 and you want to get to a 9, you're still going to have to do something that requires a process, right? It doesn't ever go away. So keep a positive mindset, a positive attitude toward growth. Interesting. 99% of all the Forbes 500 executives, all 99% of all Forbes 500 executives have attributed their success more to attitude than any other one ingredient. How's your attitude as it relates to growth? Do we complain? Do we make excuses? Or do we look at it and say, you know what? Slower than I thought, but I'm making progress and I'm going to keep moving forward. God is with me. I'm walking with the wise and I'm growing. I want to give you an example. I heard somebody sharing about they travel an elevator, and there was this elevator operator, and they were extremely joyful. They would get into the elevator, and the elevator operator would sing and serve them and ask, "Can I help you with this? Do you need any?" And just, be very pleasant. Well, the elevator operator shared with a person of which I happened to hear about it, and I thought that is comical, but I want to share with you because I think it makes sense here. So the elevator operator, one day, there was a person who rode the elevator that had a very bad attitude and were very negative and just grouchy and stuff like that toward the very pleasant, positive attitude of the elevator operator. And so they were asking, have you ever had somebody where you encountered like a really bad attitude? And he says, yeah, actually I have. And he said, well, what did you say to them? Well, first of all, I said, let me tell you what they said to me. I said, okay. And they complained, they were negative, but then they said, why are you always so happy? And the elevator operator responded with a smile and said, well, sir, it's like this. I ain't ever lived this day before, and I'm looking forward to it. While his grammar may have been a little off, his attitude was spot on. See, every day you and I live, we have never lived that day before. We don't always know what's in front of us. We don't always know what encounters we're going to have. One thing we can have is a positive attitude to greet the day, a positive attitude about growth, and even when I feel challenged and experience adversities, I can always press through them because God is with me and He's with you. Now, if this has been insightful and encouraging to you today, share it with another minister, share it with another pastor. If you're watching this, you happen to come across it via a YouTube page, share the video, subscribe if you haven't yet. If you get it in a weekly video and you go, somebody sent it to me this way, all right, consider going to our website, marythevision.com, subscribe to receive your own. Every single week it comes with a downloadable PDF, and you'll get the weekly video for free. Last thing I want to say, ministry leader, I think this would be very, very important in your step in the right direction for this. I want to encourage you to invest in yourself, invest in your growth, invest in particular into your leadership growth, and I'm offering something that I believe will be very helpful. If you've heard me, if you trust me, if you value things that we've shared or said, I think that guy knows a little bit about leadership, I'm encouraging you to go to marythevision.com and invest in your own leadership development by purchasing our Leadership Essentials course. If you are a pastor or you're a leader and you'd like to be able to say, I'd like to offer this to our leaders, we offer special packages that are different than what's listed online, but we have special packages for you depending on how many people you're going to show this with. Contact me, email me, and we'll be able to work something out with you so that you can access this and show your leadership team. Again, remember, I'm Ron Jutze, Marry the Vision. I am committed to your ministry success and your leadership success in Jesus Christ. Thank you for watching this video. Please take the time, browse other videos on our Marry the Vision YouTube channel. You can help us by subscribing, liking, leaving a comment, and sharing a video. Continue to pursue Jesus